Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Jeff Nippard controversy and answering the question, is there any science that shows us, do we know how big you can get naturally? Before I dive into this question, if you guys need coaching, check out the link down below. Coaching is what I do for a living. All right. So, Jeff Nippard controversy. Everybody's talking about natural potential. Do we know how big you can get naturally? And I'm not going to get into Jeff's video. You guys can watch his videos and react and watch all the reactions to the reactions and the reactions to the reactions to the reactions. In this video, I just want to present some information and some resources and some references for those of you guys that want to dive into natural potential or explore some of the existing research, because yes, there is a quality amount of research in the field of natural muscle building potential. Regardless if the current science-based influencers or guys like Jeff Nippard or anybody else is actually paying attention to it. Now, I'm going to reference you guys to Dr. Casey Butt, B-U-T-T. Yes, a funny name, but way back in the day, I don't know, late 2000s, I was on Dr. Casey's forum, and he did an extensive amount of research on natural muscle building potential. What he did back in the day was exceptional. He put together a lot of information looking at 300 natural champions to give us some sort of an estimate or a reasonable goal or a reasonable standard or ballpark for what is possible naturally. Now, I've spent a lot of my career in the natural world, dealing with natural bodybuilders, interviewing natural bodybuilders, training with natural bodybuilders. We're talking a lot of champions, doing a lot of article features and interviews and working with a lot of body transformation stories. Needless to say, I've been around a ton of top naturals that have basically maxed out their muscle mass. And I can tell you confidently that what I have seen in the real world in my time in the industry completely aligns with Dr. Casey Butt's research. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Dr. Casey Butt's research or you've never heard it, you don't know where to begin, go over to ChatGPT and just search Dr. Casey Butt Natural Bodybuilding Potential. You can also search my information, Steve Shaw at Muscle and Strength. I have a lot of good information. I have some good information at Tiger Fitness. Or you can just hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman, DM me, or email me, benthebarman@gmail.com. I'd be happy to pass along more information or where you can find more resources on this topic. Now, I'm going to give you a very quick formula to kind of determine what you could expect naturally. I want to put a couple of caveats on this. I'm not putting this out there as some sort of a limit. I never got into the natural muscle building potential study or the area of research to limit myself. It was actually quite the opposite. As somebody that started training in 1986, I wanted to know how big lifters could get naturally. During that era, everything was steroids. I was surrounded by steroid lifters everywhere. Tom Platz and Lou Ferrigno and Arnold and Menser and all of these guys. And there was no information about naturals, no real information about how big naturals could actually get. So this research, and I want to put this caveat out there, this discussion is not to limit people. It is to set reasonable standards. When I talk about natural muscle building potential, we are talking about quality goals. And in my experience, my personal experience in all my years of lifting, I haven't seen anybody beat Dr. Casey Butt's research by more than a few ounces or a couple of pounds. It is a very, very realistic standard and a very accurate standard. The second caveat I want to put out there is that sometimes when we are talking about Dr. Casey Butt's research, you will hear voices out there that get very, very upset because Dr. Casey Butt put together some information or guidelines on how big your arm size can get. And with arm size, there's a lot of variance. So in some cases, some guys are going to beat that arm size or beat these arm size expectations. There are so many variables involved with arm size. You can have bigger bone size, you can have bigger peaks. etc., etc. So there are two types of avenues here. And sometimes when you bring up Dr. Casey Butt's natural muscle building standards, people get upset because they feel like, hey, I know a guy whose arm size naturally is a ½ inch bigger than what Dr. Casey Butt had talked about. Yes, that is very possible. There are some outliers that are going to have this perfect synergy of bigger bone size and bigger bicep peak and that sort of thing. So I want to separate here the discussion on bicep size and natural muscle building potential or expectations. All right, so let's get into things. Enough blabbering. Dr. Casey Butt's information, what I did a long time ago was I dumbed it down into a more simple formula. And I'm going to give you this formula right now. And you can use this to kind of determine where you are, how big you can get based on your height. And again, we're not doing this to set limitations. We're doing this to set expectations. And again, I will say before I reveal the formula, in all my years of lifting, this is extremely, extremely accurate. You can see guys going over this by a couple pounds if they're a little bit heavier body fat percentage wise. So understand there's a little bit of variance possible here if somebody is trending towards a slightly higher body fat percentage. So here it is. Let's start at 5'10". At 5'10", your natural muscle building potential is around 178 to 182 pounds of lean body mass. This is about at a reasonable body fat percentage of maybe 15 to 18%. And if you go above this body fat percentage or go above 18%, you could see the numbers bump up a couple of pounds, but certainly nothing dramatic. So we're looking at 5'10". Your natural bodybuilding potential or lean body mass potential is around 178 to 182. We will just round this to 180 to make things simple for the sake of this discussion and for the sake of presenting information. Now, lean body mass is if you took your weight and removed all of your body fat and you had absolutely no body fat left. So when I say 180 pounds of lean body mass, this would be your weight without any fat. Now, again, obviously, there are some little nuances built in here. There are some physiological differences between you and the person next to you, but this is an extremely reasonable and tight standard. Now, for every inch above or below 5'10", you can add or subtract 4 to 5 pounds of lean body mass. Every inch of additional height or every inch of reduced height is going to change your lean body mass potential because you're going to have more or less blood, bones, etc., all that kind of good stuff. So at 5'10", your lean body mass potential is around 180. If you're at 5'11", it's around 184, 185. If you're at 6 foot, it's around 188 to 190. You can see the trend. You add 4 to 5 pounds of lean body mass potential for every additional inch of height. And if you are shorter than 5'10", you subtract 4 to 5 pounds. So if you're 5'9", it could be around 176, 175. If you're 5'8", around 170, 171, 172. It's really as simple as that. Again, this is a derivative formula based on Dr. Casey Butt's information. I reduced it down to this formula because it's extremely reasonable based on my interpretation of Dr. Casey Butt's research. Now, I encourage you guys to go out and check this formula or check this information and do your own research because that is what we need more in the muscle building world. Not people just hating on these types of standards and hating on this type of research. We need more intelligent discussions using this sort of information as a baseline and a foundation. Over the years, whenever I present this type of information or mention Dr. Casey Butt's research, I'm always met with people that are dismissive of it or reactionary or leave hate comments or whatever. A lot of people like to position it as some sort of limitation or you're limiting me. And I will state one final time before I get off this video. I've been around this industry a long time. I've worked with a lot of these guys, and I've never in all my life seen a true natural exceed Dr. Casey Butt's lean body mass standards by more than a couple ounces or a couple of pounds, especially if they are on the higher end of the body fat percentage scale. And again, just to end cap this, arm size is going to have a little bit more variance relative to what Dr. Casey Butt had discussed. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.